So theoretically speaking, you would totally be like the perfect super soldier. I mean, think about it. Like, if we were in a war and the army needed something like that, you would be the first one to call.
I don't even have a phone though.
Not like literally call, but if you were to put out there that you had these powers, I think you'd be the prime candidate.
Aw, thank you.
I mean, if you want to take that as a compliment, I would actually be a lot more terrified than excited.
It's no big deal. Take out some nasty zombies and run away.
If a zombie apocalypse were to happen, I actually think that's the one type of war against something that a super soldier would mean essentially nothing. We would still be screwed.
Finn, I was wondering, are there any other powers that you have that you never showed us?
Depends on what you consider a superpower, I guess.
Anything that you could do that we haven't seen is a damn power to us.
Well, throw out a suggestion, and maybe I could do it.
Alright, let's see.
On backlog, been gone for way too long. On backlog, got so many games to play, dog. On backlog, Donkey Kong expands my dome. On backlog, me and Carlo been fucking since dawn. On backlog, did you know that Carlo wears thongs? On backlog, I really fucking hate this song. Yeah.
What is up, guys? It is Robert of Gaming with me, and welcome to Back of the Backlog, the series where we take a look at the games that I recently beat off my backlog. Today's episode is on the game Project Snowblind. This is a game that I never even knew existed until only a few years ago when my uncle unfortunately passed. With his passing came a lot of his belongings being shuffled around, including the video games he owned. Instead of throwing them out, my family decided to give me the games if I was interested. He owned a decent amount of PC games that I've heard of before, but there was one that stuck out that I've just never ever seen before. That game was Project Snowblind. It's a sad way of finding out about a game, but it does create some sort of attachment. Now, that attachment can be bad if the game is awful, but what piqued my interest in this game were the developers that were attached to the name. Crystal Dynamics worked on the game, a studio with a rich history of franchises under their belt such as Gex, Legacy of Kain, and the Tomb Raider series. With development starting in 2004, this would be Crystal Dynamics' first attempt at a first-person shooter. Not only that, but it first started as a Deus Ex game called Deus Ex Clan Wars. That's another series I also definitely want to play. Eventually, as you can tell by the title, it eventually became its own brand new thing. Project Snowblind was released on February 22, 2005 in the US. It was developed by Crystal Dynamics and published by Eidos Interactive. While I do own the PC version, my PC actually doesn't have a disk drive, and I would rather play with a controller, so I decided to pick out the Xbox version, which is the version we are looking at today. Is the game any good, or was I better off never even hearing about it? Well, here we are 18 years after its original release. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the story first. Actually, let's talk about this menu screen first. I'm legit not joking when I say I sat on the screen for a long time. Even after my sessions for the day, I let this main menu screen linger because of the amazing main theme. I mean, the flute and marching sort of sound works together so well. Absolutely love this track. It's fantastic. Anyway, the year is 2065. The game starts off with saying, all events and characters depicted are true to historical fact. Yes, this is a game based on a true story that takes place in 2065. It's hilariously awesome that they're trying to set this up as a true story.
Maybe it really is a true story.
It's not 2065 yet, so it could be true.
I will take this story as a fact until 2066.
We follow the character of Nathan Frost, a soldier a part of the army looking to stop the Republic, the enemy of this story. While defending Hong Kong, a helicopter drops some sort of missile that damn near kills Nathan. While Nathan is rushed to get some help, the army decides to give Nathan experimental nanotechnological augmentations to save his life. With these enhancements, Nathan essentially becomes a super soldier, taking the lead in the war against the Republic. It's a cool intro, and while I wasn't super invested with the story, the cutscenes themselves are entertaining. You can tell that they were well thought out in terms of cinematography and editing. Right off the bat, visually this is pretty damn good. There's plenty of detailed environments, and given the fact it's a linear shooter, it allows for some well-designed looking areas. Even though it takes place in 2065, there's a lot that still looks like modern day life. It's really the weapons, robotic machinery, and enhancements that make the game feel futuristic. In terms of controls, it's pretty solid. Movement feels the slightest bit odd, which takes a little bit of getting used to, but overall I really like how it feels, especially the aiming and shooting. Considering it is a first-person shooter, aiming and shooting are pretty damn important to nail, which I think Crystal Dynamics did a really good job, especially considering it was their first try at the genre. I don't love having to click in the analog stick to aim down sights, but that's just a preference thing, not that it's bad. As this is a first-person shooter, you'll be handling a decent amount of weapons. It starts you off with a carbine assault rifle, pistol, shotgun, rocket launcher, and a sniper. Nothing too out there, but a nice variety to play around with, especially considering you have all these guns on you at once, so you can constantly rotate out weapons. I use the carbine a very large chunk of the game, as I always enjoy using assault rifles in games. However, each weapon has some solid use. The shotgun is a powerful blast up close, absolutely shooting the souls out of your enemies, sending them flying in a pretty hilarious fashion. Then there's something always great about using a sniper to one-shot an enemy from a long distance. There's just nothing else like it, and you feel like a badass every time you pull it off. As the game progresses, your weapon arsenal starts to introduce a lot more futuristic weapons in the playing field, which are all very cool. There's the ice pick, a weapon that allows you to hack into different systems like shutting down cameras, gates, pretty much whatever the objective wants you to do. However, the coolest use of the ice pick is shooting into an enemy robot, allowing you to take control of it and shooting down everyone with their own machinery. There's something so awesome about seeing a robot targeting you and just stopping it in its tracks to completely take it over. There's the weapon Herf, which shoots out electricity, and it's great to electrocute some dudes shooting at you to death. Then there's the Fletchet that shoots out these beam pellets essentially that even bounce off walls. It's a strong weapon that kills you quickly too if you aren't careful when enemies are shooting at you. Then finally, possibly the best gun in the game is the Rail Laser. A weapon that you charge up to fire a laser, and it is essentially a one-shot gun in almost every opportunity. You could charge up the Rail Laser to full blast and release a super deadly beam that destroys even the biggest of robots in one good hit. It's awesome and it feels great to use, although it's pretty much the last weapon you'll find. There's even more weapons to collect, but it just goes to show how big your arsenal of weapons are in this game. There's genuinely no limit on how many you could carry. As long as you have ammo, which you pretty much always do, then you could go crazy with whatever weapon of your choosing. As for the abilities Nathan can use, there's also a good amount of them too. Admittedly, I initially didn't use the abilities too often as I felt you didn't really need to, but as the difficulty ramps up, the abilities start to come more in handy. Your abilities include a shield or invincibility for a short amount of time, turning invisible to sneak around enemies, shooting out a giant lightning strike, infrared type of vision to spot out enemies and cameras, and even more. There are definitely times where these abilities help me out, but it would have been nice to have more abilities that weren't all about defense, because that's what these abilities feel like to me. Also, I gotta say, I don't think this is the first shooter that let you turn invisible, but I'm pretty sure that is one of the reasons Crysis was so cool when it first released. But fuck you, Crysis. Project Snowblind has you beat. I'm sure there's probably another shooter before this that lets you do that, but I don't know. And to be fair, I still have to play Crysis. I do want to play Crysis. Regardless, the mix of the weapons and the abilities made Project Snowblind stand out amongst the many other first-person shooters I've played before.
Shooting at a lightning strike made me feel like Palpatine.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
I honestly felt like I was playing myself. I've never felt so represented in anything ever before.
I mean, the abilities part, sure, but it's not like you're out here taking out people with a bunch of weapons.
How do you know?
I would think I know.
Yes, you would think.
Dude, I'm gonna take that as a hee hee hoo hoo ha ha joke. Hee hee hoo hoo. Anyway, in certain missions, they even allowed you to drive cars that didn't really control all that great, but you can shoot down enemies in these big cars, which would help a lot. While it is a linear shooter, they do have side objectives that you can try to complete by taking some alternate route to try to help a soldier, take out some weaponry, or free some prisoners, which I thought was pretty nice. Enemies also, for the most part, aren't bullet sponges, which is great. They get taken out with a few good shots to the head. It's something I wasn't even really thinking about at the moment because it truly is well balanced. There are actually plenty of shooters out there where the enemies just stay alive for way too long, considering they are only one of so many throughout the whole game. Luckily, that just isn't the case in this shooter. There's a pretty good variety in terms of level environments too. There's the rundown, rainy night streets of Hong Kong, the Coliseum looking area with enemies on different layers on the map with some nice verticality. Then you even have the base of the generals that is much darker with more of a horror atmosphere. This base is the part of the game where I felt there was a pretty big difficulty spike. This is where enemies start to have abilities of their own. Many turn themselves invisible and also carry some dangerous firepower. There were times where I was dying so quick where it just felt almost unfair. But it's not. This and some other areas of the game require me to change up my playing style. I had to take every encounter a lot slower and make more use of my defensive abilities. I started to play the game in a more stealth way, which was a lot of fun but pretty horrible when I would die. There's no traditional checkpoints. Instead, starting over was from your last save, which was always in a dedicated save room, which I did think was cool. It's straight up like a Metroid Prime style save room, and I didn't mind that. There's also a decent amount of save rooms, so it never really felt difficult to progress, but never felt great to die when you were right near one. I'm now going to talk about the final few missions just to let you know. In the mission with the General's base, you also verse the General and find out that he also became an augmented soldier like Nathan. However, they clearly went overboard with him, looking like a straight up robot. This is the first and only boss battle of the entire game. The General is super fast, bounces around, and he shoots right at you, but you can take him out pretty quickly with your rail laser and rocket launchers. However, halfway through his health, he commits one of gaming's biggest sins. Say it with me, he brings other enemies into the boss battle. Good job, you're learning. Yeah, there's a cutscene where it looks like he's about to die, but actually these robotic spiders come out and you gotta take them out or else they'll chip away at your health while also messing with your technological eyes. Unfortunately, I did end up dying once and also wasn't fast enough to use a nano boost, which completely revives you. It's just too fast the death screen and too many items to scroll through to actually use the nano boost. However, the second attempt I got further and shot him until he died. Oh, he's spawning more enemies. Great. Love it. I'm not too upset with this situation because you can take them out pretty easily, but it is still a random distraction from the main event. Eventually you shoot him enough until he truly dies by exploding, but even then, Project Snowblind is still happening. Yes, while you defeated the main boss, the game continues for quite a while because the true boss is Project Snowblind itself. Project Snowblind is a plan to detonate massive EMP bombs in New York, Paris, and Hong Kong, creating a brand new dark age, the end of electronic technology. So the last few missions are the journey to where this project is being created.
No way. There's more to this game?
Jesus, man, wait until the credits roll.
I swear, I thought that was the ending. I mean, it's a final boss.
It doesn't matter that the boss wasn't the end.
Oh, well. Next time I'll wait for credits.
Thank you, you impatient bastard. There's several more missions, but the last stop, the lab type area where the EMP bombs are being prepared, is pretty damn cool. Enemy types of all kinds are in this facility, and it is chaotic. With shootouts happening at every corner, this could have been frustrating, but it wasn't. It was fair and entertaining, allowing for a very fitting finale with a want to push forward, stopping these bombs. I really enjoyed the bright colored area with reflections on the ground. Definitely was different from the darker areas of the previous missions. Eventually you get to this machine that you gotta destroy after you take out a bunch of enemies. Once the machine is destroyed, a massive EMP blast is about to happen that can potentially kill Nathan, especially since he's right smack dab in the middle of the room. So it's time to escape from the building as the entire thing is going to collapse. Now this is the final mission, escaping the building. Absolutely loved this mission. This was truly an exploding building. Explosions right in front of your face, doors broken, constantly opening and closing, and entire sections of the floor falling apart. It's absolutely thrilling, and it is probably the best escape level in a game I may have ever played. I literally felt lost. I don't even think there's a way to get lost, but with the true chaotic area of this nature, made for a fuck, I hope I'm heading the right way type of feeling, and that was awesome. An amazing detail are all the enemies running out for their lives. They don't even look your way. They are hauling their asses out as fast as they can, which obviously makes sense, and I love it for that. Every other game that I've played so far in this series, and pretty much ever, when it comes to like escape buildings, always had the enemies trying to still attack you and stand still, and it's like, what? No, get the fuck out. You're gonna die too. Once Nathan escapes the building, his army celebrates. The task is done. Project Snowblind is destroyed. The explosion took out all electronics in a 5-mile radius, which means no helicopter to fly back to base for them. And how far are they from the base? Well,
you know, we're 50 miles from the nearest coalition base.
So, we walk.
And walking they go. The mission was accomplished. The world was saved. Nathan Frost and his army lived to see a victory. Then the Liberty Coalition Memorial pops up, and then a bunch of names scroll by. Like a ton of names. Who are these people exactly? These are partners that were killed in battle. Yes, the NPCs that died alongside you during the journey get a memorial, and that is so fucking incredible. Apparently every single NPC you pass by has a unique name, and so they dedicated this to all the fallen soldiers, and goddamn, my mind was blown. That is so goddamn cool. It really feels like your team went through some hardships as you see the text scroll with the countless deaths. Then the credits roll. That was Project Snowblind. That was a really good game. It was an entertaining first-person shooter with some unique flair in terms of its weapons and abilities. I would argue this is a hidden gem in the FPS genre. It doesn't look like it's sold very well, and that's definitely a shame. If you enjoy first-person shooters, this is definitely one I'd recommend to add to the list one day. The music, the atmosphere, the cutscenes, the large amount of weapons, the constant action, it's all genuinely a lot of fun. Overall, I'm going to give Project Snowblind a... That theme song alone makes this game good. Out of 10. Definitely an entertaining game. I gotta say thanks to my uncle for introducing me to this cool ass FPS. Just wish you were here so we could discuss it in person. Will there be another Project Snowblind? Who knows? There's plenty of years left on planet Earth, so I'm sure someone will pitch a sequel or a remake one day. I would definitely like to see a sequel. Although I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon considering the lower sales. I'm just happy the game exists as a singular cool shooter from the 6th generation of consoles. That'll be it for today though. Thank you so much for watching. Share these videos around as they take so long to make. Have you played Project Snowblind? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time. Project Snowblind was an entertaining first-person shooter with some unique flair, but it is officially out of the backlog. Something you haven't shown. I feel like you've shown remotely everything I feel like you could possibly do, but I don't really know. Like, you know, you could turn invisible, which is nuts.
Wanna see me do that again?
Sure.
That's nuts. That alone could cause a war, to be honest with you.
You think so?
I remember that you could change your voice and change it to all sorts of people. Scarlett Johansson, Will Smith and stuff. It's crazy.
Probably, to be fair, the craziest one is that you could literally morph into anything. I mean, that could cause all sorts of problems, you know? Which is just... I can't believe there's a whole planet full of creatures that could do that, but... Yeah, that's kind of scary, but it is what it is.
We are kind creatures. It's okay.
You can access computers through your damn mind. That was something. Remember, that's how you got me Recore for my 21st birthday? Which I thought was cool until I found out it was with my own money.
What do they say? It's the thought that counts.
Speaking of thoughts, you could even torture us from our fucking minds, which is awful. Still one of the worst times of my life. It was painful. When we all three of us had some sort of convulsion in our minds because you were doing something. I don't even know. Just to tell us you were upstairs. It was the most weirdest shit.
You're still holding on to that grudge? Come on. I didn't know it was hurting you guys. I thought it was pleasant.
Many sleepless nights because of that. It was trash.
That's a power. That's a weapon. See, I could start a war.
Okay. Sleepless nights, all that. Can you knock us out? Like, put us to sleep whenever, you know, have great naps whenever we want?
Dude, what? Yeah, of course. That's how I sleep.
Bro, what? This whole goddamn time? Do it!
Holy shit, he's knocked out.
When will he wake up?
It's like a timer. He'll wake up in like 13 hours.
13 hours? Why so long?
He said he wanted a good sleep.
So you could set any time?
Well, yeah, pretty much. You could set that timer to 90 years if you wanted to.
Holy shit, that's killing them.
I guess you're not wrong.
Damn, we were just about to start the next game.
I guess we'll start tomorrow. Which of those games was it again?
That card one.